David, is film criticism important?
I think it is.
Why? Why is film criticism important?
Well, there are a number of reasons why it is, and I could go into detail, so I will. I think the number one reason is that it brings a deeper understanding not only to the filmmaking process itself, but also to the message the filmmaker is trying to convey, and it also creates and generates more understanding to art as well.
Absolutely. Art is a two-way street, man. If it wasn't for people who analyzed and picked up on certain ideas and transformed the art, then what would art be? What would art be, my friend? Oh, you got another one?
Yeah, I also think that it can flesh out philosophical movements because, philosophy and art are really sort of inseparable.
Yes.
Right. And I also think that it generates audience, and it brings attention to different people, ideas. There are different associations that people have with certain concepts, certain ideas, and then it really details out all of those little connections.
Oh, absolutely. And certain films have been almost chiefly responsible for philosophical movements in and of themselves, just like
Absolutely,
certain
yeah.
songs, all forms of art, paintings, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Give me another one. Hit me with your best shot.
And that leads into another point. I think that it adds nuance to new philosophical movements as well. Just as you said, not only does it create certain philosophical movements, but it also brings a deeper understanding and meaning to someone who is more of a layman like us.
We're experts. We're experts. Don't lie to my audience, dude. What's next?
I also think it challenges conservative estimates in the status quo, and more specifically by challenging the status quo, I mean it actually does challenge people's beliefs, ideas, associations. What they think is not necessarily the case, and it brings new meaning and deeper understanding in that regard.
Do you also think that it generates discussion?
Yeah, I think it generates discussion, and it also brings interaction between not only the filmmaker, but also the audience. And that shows us that filmmakers are intimately aware, especially in the postmodernist movement, filmmakers are aware that the audience plays a significant role in generating that discussion.
Absolutely. The best way to view art is not as a static being, but as a dynamic becoming. There's a reason that on this channel we could cover films that are 100 years old and transform it into something maybe arguably beyond itself, but not beyond the realm of criticism. Film criticism is about transforming art so it pertains to human condition. That's one of the beautiful things about that word that I hate, that word subjectivity, is that it's actually our most invaluable weapon when it comes to making sure that art is a physical being, that art is something that transforms long after everyone who made it or is associated with it has passed away. And that's part of the beauty of art. Film criticism is important, but I would venture to say that film criticism has gone the wrong way lately. Long dead are the days of Pauline Kael and the Cahiers du Cinéma with writers like Truffaut and Godard and Bresson, the auteur theory movement. Long gone are actual film criticism where you write about the art and expand it into philosophical concepts, into political movements. Long dead are those days. What we have now is kind of just the Rotten Tomatoification of film criticism, where it's just a list of likes and dislikes, and they're generally superficial, or if they pretend or they posture, if they pretend to be eloquent or deep in any way, it's the most basic possible way that you could approach that subject, and it's usually revolved around a film that does not challenge the status quo. I'm sorry, like Ghostbusters, things like that, these films don't actually challenge the status quo, whereas you do have independent filmmakers today making challenging films that no one pays attention to that do challenge the status quo. Film critics, they used to be arbiters of taste. They used to actually make a difference. They used to actually read a review by Roger Ebert, who I have a lot of problems with, but nonetheless, you used to read one of his reviews and actually put some stock and some value into it because he was eloquent and he also had a great understanding of art, of philosophy, of political movements, of all sorts of things. But now, I don't believe that. I believe that film criticism is important from what we do here, kind of a more it's a laid back, but it's still kind of an academic or articulate approach to it. It's not what you would normally find. We're not giving you an A plus. We're not giving you an F minus.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, which is what every other film channel is, and apparently what it's kind of morphed into. But film criticism as an arbiter of taste, that is certainly dead. That is completely dead. I have not referred to Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb scores for any movie that I've seen in the last 10 years. I think that film criticism as an actual, and it can be saved, and it can be saved by focusing on kind of the concepts that we were talking about, or even just by reading the great film critics of the past. And it can be saved because film criticism is very important. Same with music criticism, video game criticism, criticism of all art. We need to save it all from becoming, I think it's just become commodified, or its scope has been incredibly limited and isolated within a bubble because of the new technology. I think it thrived before the advent of social media and things like that.
And to your credit, I do know several films that do exactly that. They kind of lambast and criticize those particular commodifications and fetishes that societies seem to like, especially anything that is superficial in meaning. People like to take things at surface value, and film criticism is extremely vital in that respect. It's showing us the nuance, the subtleties, the deeper meanings behind things. It's not painting it with broad strokes. It's really getting at and going into the details and gutting out all of that and making it, to me, not only understandable, it's digestible. And that's what film criticism does.
And some
really
people
well.
may like to criticize my channel because I focus on I write a lot of love letters. They're really just video essays or analysis, but they're all generally over emotive, over positive, hyperbolic, very hyperbolic on purpose. But that's kind of my form of film criticism. I do provide derision, I do provide negativity, but you would have to listen to the Talking Art House series. Most of those films that we cover, or all of them, I think have value and I think are good. But if you listen to those, I am very harsh of other films inside of those. I'm not trying to make my bones the easy way, which is apparently just taking a popular film and making 10-hour-long videos about nitpicking it to death. I'm not trying to make my bones that way. We aren't trying to do that. We're trying to broaden the scope of how to appreciate movies, and the key word being appreciate, because even a film that you don't like, you should still be able to appreciate your hatred for it, even. Still be able to do that. Anything else to add?
No, I think you said it pretty well, and I guess there is a little caveat I'd like to add. I would like to add that a lot of people put out film criticism to be this sort of pretentious thing where, oh, well, I could do it better or not, but that's, I think, a mistake, a misconception of what film criticism is. Film criticism isn't trying to say, I can do this better, I can do it this way or this or that. It's more or less saying, you know, this is what this other filmmaker did, and they did it in such a way that it brought a deep understanding for the audience, for someone like me, where I watched something like Fellini's 8.5, and then you compare that with something else like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Yeah, something like that where you have a deeper understanding of what it means to be compassionate, for example, what it means to be more loving in an authentic way. And having that film criticism not only helps me as a person to understand things in a more subtle and sophisticated way, but it also can show other people who are watching film criticism and film critic videos, and I'm trying to bring that understanding that I learned to that person. So it's
Absolutely.
like a guide.
You can learn a lot of great lessons from films. I can't even count the amount of films that have had an impact on my life in a positive way. There are also some that have led me to detrimental things as well. It could work both ways, so that's the beauty of art. And film criticism is all about being able to articulate yourself and being able to focus on a film emotionally, conceptually, and compositionally. Those are the three different elements you have to look at, and that's how you become a good film critic. You view those elements and you articulate them. If a movie made you sad, figure out why it did. You find that it was a particular concept, the theme of the film that made you feel pathos, it made you feel pity or sympathy. Okay, but why did you've seen pity? You've seen these kind of feelings evoked in other films. What made this one so different? And that's when you get on to compositionally. Okay, what about the framing of this scene? What about the story? What about the concepts and the way that the filmmaker decided to present them to me and express these ideas that really hit me so differently? And then by the end of that, you'll understand why film criticism is so important, even though it's been simplified to complete drivel these days. I wouldn't defend film criticism as a whole right now. I would defend the academic pursuit. That's about it.
Fair.
So is film criticism important? Yes and no. Yes and no. It's subjective.
But remember, something being subjective is not a bad thing. It just means that it has significance to the person watching, or maybe even to the person making the film. So subjective is not necessarily wrong. It's not necessarily right. Subjectivity is not concerned with the
Well, that's
rights
the
and wrongs.
bullshit direction that all these new critics are going into, like this new wave are all about, like, fuck subjectivity. It's all about objectivity. And I believe that both are needed here.
Absolutely. I believe both are needed too.
And neither are mutually exclusive. You can subjectively love a film for very objective reasons. I don't know. These people have never taken a philosophy course in their life, I don't think. Now I'm sounding fucking pompous at the end of this video.
How dare
But thank you guys for watching. This is just a quick face video, because I haven't really done too many of those lately, and I got a haircut. So
Thanks for watching.
the point of this video was my haircut.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Is that it?
So is film
All right.
criticism dead? Yes, because of my haircut.